Well, things are going to go like they did originally for these two teams. We should see a Flores ban somewhere here on the offense. We're going to see Habana initially, though, taking away some of that ranged hard breach, and also the Hatch Queen out. So make it a little bit more difficult when it comes to hard breach for those regards. But we're actually going to keep the Flores in, so that could be something that's changed up quite often here on the offense. Looking to see that operator used quite a lot instead of this match then, as he's going to make the clear a lot easier. But we're going to have the regular set here. Instead of going with the Flores ban and leaving Thatcher up, we're going to have Thatcher banned out instead.
Yeah, so Thatcher knocked out of the pool. You still will be able to deal with utility in some floors because we're going to have the Flores brought to the table and those drones can deal with it, but obviously to a much lessened extent when compared to Thatcher. Wamai is next up to bat here on the knockout list, as unfortunately he as well still too universally useful inside of the maps across the board right now next to Jaeger. And then Mira finds quite a bit of use across most of the sites on this map, so she is still a common ban for that as well.
All right, so set up for Cafe. The bans across the board making a lot of sense here. I think Habana obviously standing out the most, but besides that, we're going to be starting off with SSG on defense. Reading and Fireplace going to be our first site right in the middle floor here for SSG. And the Cafe that we saw them play up against Mirage was a pretty amazing spectacle across the board. If I believe correctly off the top of my head, I think it was a 7-1. Yes, indeed, it was a 7-1 on Cafe. And the last time they started out on offense. So this time around, they're even starting on the favored side.
So let's see how things will work out for XSET, what type of additional improvements they've been able to make in the last week since we last saw them, and how well will it match up against SSG. Taking a look at SSG's own setup, we are going to be on the second floor hold first here. Might as well try things out in a more difficult manner here, so this is a bit of a skewed matchup in the favor of SSG. They're going to see how far they can push that by going for the second floor hold first. And we've got a pretty normal comp to correspond to that site hold. Nothing out of the ordinary here, just a whole lot of delay utility that hasn't been banned out, as well as the healthy amount of kind of middle-of-the-road operators here to roam up and about on the second, third, and first floors and try to delay the time away from XSET as much as possible before they eventually take third floor control and look to funnel down onto the site itself.
10 seconds left.
Well, XSET, they're going to be getting out onto the field here. This will start their journey to one of these players finally bursting into that 1.0 rating. The highest one currently being Drip, who no longer even plays for the roster anymore at a 0.95. Thomas with a 0.91 currently being the highest active roster member for XSET. So we could see a big changeup in this roster today. I'm expecting a lot here because you need to try and come with your best up against a roster like this.
So let's see if they truly brought their best here today. SSG very much ready for the interactions that are going to be going on. Over here by White Stairs, Fultz watching the staircase door itself that Razor was just trying to penetrate a couple of seconds ago. And aside from that, we still have the Valkyrie in position just outside of the window here too, if that play becomes necessary. Other members on the XSET roster are working on the usual openers here, getting them access to the top red hatch, which will then open up more than anything a path for their drones to figure out what the setup is looking like on the third floor, and then allow the players in to start clearing that out. Speaking of which, we just hit that point. The first player dropped into red a second ago before we switched off. Razor starting to take up rappel positioning by the windows leading into Cigar and White as well in order to put additional pressure on and hopefully keep any aggressive tendencies held back so that this first player that's gone, and I believe it's Creators, is going to have a pretty easy time figuring things out up here.
No, Fultz is going to go fishing at the bottom of White Stairs for Thomas, but he's going to escape to the roof just in the nick of time to keep himself alive. So that was potentially something that could have went south there for the offense, but they'll get around it, unbeknownst to them. Either way, though, they've taken control of Christmas, and they begin the breakup of this area. It's mostly been Razor as of right now with some breaching charges, taking out the freezer wall that was left unreinforced whilst Bathroom was, so they'll blow both ends of this. This top clear going smashingly so far, but just haven't been able to find any of these kills. Most of the SSG members currently back inside of Cocktail and Stacks. They want to make sure that they delay as much as possible right now. Nobody currently on rappel yet on the east side either, so not as much pressure as they could possibly put on these two remaining members.
About 2 minutes of the round gone by, and no one has taken any damage as of yet here, but that is about to change. Rampy with pressure onto him. He backs out in time, and it is a perfect fallback as it complements this Nitro cell from Thinking Nade beautifully. I'm actually surprised we didn't see damage going on to the second XSET member that was with Thomas right there. Luckily, they had enough separation to avoid it, so Creators, as I believe that would be the second player, is going to stay alive, but not for too much longer. Bosco still able to go 1-for-1 with the upstairs position before he also gets traded out there by Razor. setting us up for a 3v4 with about 30 seconds left. XSET now with a lot of pressure just outside of the small library doorway. It's looking like they're going to get ready to jump out in just a few moments here.
Well, there's a player that you wanted to take down on the offense. It had to be the sludge of Thomas, making this vertical work a lot harder. Going to have to dedicate all of those breaching charges to getting something done up top, but it doesn't seem like they've done enough. It's going to be the collapse from SSG, and this is something they've been so good about so far throughout the season. They don't just sit here lackadaisically. They push forward and try and take back map control, try and abuse these man-up situations like they're doing right now. Razor can't even get the last frag. They get a couple frags on the entry there, but SSG able to get away with it after the resurgence from the defense and the offense just not expecting it.
Yeah, Razor doing good work on the top down, but that was pretty much it for XSET inside of that round. Not a whole lot of good things to write home about, as unfortunately they are outwitted in numerous angles by the SSG roster, as we saw there with that recommitment to the inside of pillars to take down the rest of their execute. A strong start though for SSG, definitely what we expected. Now time to see how XSET rebounds off of that and looks for some wins of their own. We're heading downstairs into the kitchen sites for this next round.
I don't think anything was necessarily too poor inside of XSET's overall setup. I think they did a very good job of controlling the areas that they were worried about early. Thomas got out at the very last second before we ended up seeing him get picked off from the usual garage angle for the south side, so that's good. But besides that, XSET not able to get the top clear done how they want to. SSG have so much intel being gathered upstairs that they're actually able to strike with a nitro cell like you were talking about from thinking nade down low, and I was actually ended up being partnered with a frag grenade that Rampy just avoided at the very last second when dipping down the hatch. And obviously then we just have Bosco hold on to the top floor, and that's really all you needed out of that SSG hold upstairs. Past that, it was basically all she wrote. Even if XSET do start breaking things up, you know, SSG just have so much control on that lower level. It's going to be difficult for XSET to get around, but they made it even more difficult by what we did or what we talked about previously with just simply rushing out and starting to take these gunfights when XSET least expected.
Little missed camera there for Houghton, but not a big deal. Can quickly chuck it back out once again. More likely got spotted, I would imagine, by the XSET roster, though, because of the delay on the chuck out there. So probably going to see that get dealt with pretty quickly. For SSG, though, it's going to be business as usual in the early round here. See what you can get off of XSET, if anything at all, and if not, just have a slowly paced back up towards the site. Same way they played it, obviously, for going from the third down to the second on the last round. This time, going to do something similar, mainly working the second down to the first. And we've got some members of XSET starting to take third floor control. Now, of course, they're going to notice that Houghton's here. Not very well defended. Okay, I was going to say, don't expect much from here, but never mind on that.
Yikes.
Gets the perfect pre-fire through, and now the follow-up nitro kill. Okay,
on.
that one's a little too much to ask for there. Thankfully, that gets dodged by Filthy, who was outside of there. He gets the intel and is able to avoid an early death, but still, we can see quite a bit of action in the first couple seconds of the round here as SSG starts this off quite well.
Well, you wonder why he's the highest rated player in the league right now. This guy just hits an ebb and flow and just starts landing shots and getting utility frags out of nowhere. It's some incredible stuff, but either way, Hot and Cold with a big initial frag, and Fult's going to follow through with a second one of his own. The Nitro Cell rings true, ends up taking down, I believe, Thomas. So 2 soft destructors already off the board. Creators being the only one that remains. Obviously, they can try and abuse Jarvis if they want to, but that would probably be ill-advised. They still need to try and get into this site some way, somehow, and SSG are set up for them to try and go freezer. This is very risky across the board. You can see the spread that SSG have set up for this offense.
A little over a minute remaining here. XSET trying to figure out what the safe path forward is going to be, and that's the issue. There really isn't one, unfortunately.
I'm glad you said it.
But for SSG, the good news for them is that with time getting lower, they can just simply fall back to the site and wait out the rest of this time here now. So a safe path is eventually going to present itself for XSET, but only when SSG decides that it's appropriate. Creators continuing to look for an opportunity here for the team to be able to work something, but it's not going to find it just as of yet here. Filthy as well, doing the same thing on those top-down angles as they really get the most out of their drone game that's still alive at this point. That's the other important thing to mention here. Really not a whole lot of drones left. 3 available according to our UI at the top right. But I only see 1 on the UI, so I'm not sure which of that one is correct. Oh, it could have been presets as well from the dead players. Forgot about that. But either way, a low count here and a low amount of intel overall that XSET is working with. And we'll see this come to fold as they finally make the drop down the hatch. Immediately, another member of the team is going to fall. Fultz just gets outright aggressive, nearly kills Filthy through the metal bars as well. Creators will get one on the aggression working itself towards VIP, but he's now alone with only a single second left. Might as well save the KD there as this round's going to SSG, a stable second round on the board for them.
So 2 phone calls, and that's really it. You don't need much past some nitro cell kills apparently, and well, at least a nitro cell kill and a very well placed wall bang that we saw Hot and Cold end up hitting earlier on. Which, by the way, just simply off of like 2 bullets that Razor shot through that wall. He just saw the tracers and was like, I think he's right here, and just clicked him right in the noggin. Amazing stuff from SSG so far. It's been a hard road for XSET, but that's what we expected, and more than likely what they expected as well. It's going to take some changing on their end to get this done. They're just not seeing enough of the plot, John. That's the biggest thing right now. There's a lot of players in these positions where they can possibly abuse these XSET members, but they're not fully aware. They know what the initial strategy is for SSG, but it's like an onion, man. It has layers.
And unfortunately, they're not able to catch any of these earlier layers, it seems, so far. XSET definitely taking the correct approach inside of the early round, but just not able to properly execute upon any of the avenues they're seeking to exploit so far. Third floor site, probably the most direct confrontation they're going to get with the SSG setup here, at least as far as the first 3 rounds are concerned. So time to see if this will possibly yield results for them on the attack. If not, it'll be a flawless run of the full site rotation for SSG to start out our final match of the day here, and it'll be likely to continue with the way these rounds are going.
Well, we knew it was risky for XSET to bring SSG here, but I don't know if they knew how risky it was, because right now it just seems like they're being outclassed. And like we were talking about before, it's going to take a major change up here, and it might start off right now. Jarvis still going to be on the Thermite, and the rest of the board looking just like it was before, all except for Razor, who all of a sudden isn't on Ashe anymore, and instead bringing more execute utility in the likes of Ying. So we could see them actually springboard off of these early advantages that they've been able to find, you know, at least inside of round 1, and we'll now here inside of round 3 as well. And who better to take down than Hot and Cold?
Yeah, the perfect player to knock out right here. Hot and obviously had great amounts of success just on the last round getting aggressive, but to be fair, he was also on a much more aggressive operator. This was supposed to be a more stable lockdown position. Clearly not, though, as he gave himself away to the window angle, leading to an early advantage for the XSET roster. Now, what does XSET do from this point forward? They'll probably start to take some initial control. You can see that they are really trying to figure things out about the Cigar side right now with Creators on Rappel, and he's not alone either. 2 other players working on those angles between Jarvis and their Sledge, currently played by Thomas. So a lot of focus on this, and I imagine it wouldn't be too long until we see a drop down happen. But here's the issue, obviously. The castle barricade blocking off access to the Cigar room with the closet itself makes this so difficult to get past, because Rampy can stand right next to Red Hatch and put a quick shotgun bolt into anybody that tries to drop down here. Razor still finding that impact, though. He gets a second entry, this time against Bosco.
Big frag there. I'm going to put into a 3v5. This is the best round we've seen from XSET so far, so let's hope that they're able to at least get one on the board, but they at least have to get past these last remaining SSG members, and it could be a pretty difficult road ahead for them. Fultz hasn't died yet, neither is Nade. They're 3-0 and 2-0 respectively. Rampy hasn't found the scoreboard just yet, but it doesn't mean he can't do it here and now. He's going to take some damage from his own Nitro Cell. It won't deliver just back either, and he's actually the player that's forward inside of Cigar. So many ADSs to assist him as well here, so he'll more than likely exist for quite some time unless they're able to deal with this castle barricade. Still swinging off of red, though, with this M590, and XSET yet again back on timer here, folks. Even though they've got the advantages, it just doesn't seem like they have the intel to push forward like they want to. This might be a nice flash play here, and it will be, but it's not going to get the job done. Rampy escapes with his life somehow, some way, and SSG continue to survive. Nade continually holding on to White as well. This XSET roster has got to hop too.
Oh my goodness. Fultz with a beautiful shot on Razor finally deals with him. The problem is there's way too much heat upstairs, and he was the only one trying to fan the flames. XSET now with full control. They don't even know it as of yet, too. You can see they're still completely unsure of their own control here. Rampy trying to work on a flank towards the red stairs. It'll be a few seconds, though, before he's stable in that position. Still no sign of a plant as of yet, but that'll need to come in soon. Creator's going to be the first victim of Rampy as he starts off the action on his flank. Only the first of many, potentially. They actually can't plant this right now. It's a soft floor above Rampy. He's been able to move, but no, the shotgun interrupts it again. again. This is actually going to work. They don't have it down on the ground. Then he goes right into Thinking Nade's POV. The 2v5 from SSG, and they take the round.
Dude, that might have been the most big brain play I have ever seen in my entire life. I don't know if they had yellow pings or what was happening for SSG there, but you're talking about a 2v4, 2v5 at a certain point. And you're talking about somebody down low playing off of either sound cue or just yellow ping, running around trying to prevent Thermite from planting so that Thinking Nade can push all the way up through white to get positioning in Pixel to shut him down when he rotates out. That is insane chemistry from SSG. What an incredible round, and one I don't think I'm going to see again soon.
So XSET very much needing a tactical timeout after that one, more of a mental timeout.
I need a tactical timeout after that one.
Just a moment for the players to recenter themselves. It kind of goes without saying that one's going to be a tilter if you're on XSET's side of things. You have full control of the site with about like a minute to go as well. They had flushed full site presence from SSG off of the site very early on in that round and even had a massive advantage. Unfortunately, just not able to play that. To correct myself, now that I'm remembering more of the details of the round, it was actually a 2v4, not a 2v5, so apologies for that miscall there. As we did see one kill picked up by Thinking Nade on the Maestro, sitting in the back site. Then he got traded after that. Then it was the 2v4, and that's when they made the play to close things out right there. Either way, incredibly impressive stuff for SSG, seeing as they had no control to fight back or even stop the plan at that point.
Yeah, in case you guys want to know what casting Rainbow Six Siege is like, it's like, hey, there's like a million pieces of utility to account for, and also who killed that guy and when did it happen? I
completely forgot about the fact that Thinking Nade got a kill there, like because there was so much stuff that happened.
Well, the best part was it wasn't even Nade.
Wait, it wasn't?
It was Fultz on Maestro.
What? It was? Oh no! I swear that was Thinking Nade.
Guys, welcome to it. This is what it's like to be a Rainbow Six Siege commentator, in case you ever wondered. But either way, some amazing stuff from SSG, and for XSET, I mean, you've got to be worried. This is the second time around that they've been harassed from the middle floor, and not a single person has a drone or a physical person downstairs to prevent that from happening. That should happen all of the time on Cafe. Because especially on the bar site, that tries to get abused all of the time. It might not be from an M590 all the time, but at least nitro cells and everything else. You see a lot of people go down there to try and harass the offense, especially when you give it up for free. So for XSET, like, this is just very difficult for them right now. They're able to get the early pick, but they're just not able to do anything with their advantages. I don't know why they're bringing the execute utility right now, really, because it doesn't seem like they're getting anything out of it because they can't even reach the point of execute.
A lot of hesitance right now in XSET, which is understandable given the way these rounds have been playing out as well. But XSET approaching quite a few of the positions, such as you know, the mute position in the last round right there. They committed like 3 or 4 different flashbangs to that and another spot, but then we didn't really see any follow-up that I could catch from the observer POV. That's just one example of that, where XSET seem to have an idea, but are almost too scared to follow through with it in certain situations. It's a little bit like, I don't want to be too judgmental here, right? Because obviously there's many valid reasons why they would call something like that off, but either way, it's just the vibe that I'm getting with the way that we're seeing these rounds play out. Let's take a look at this in the meantime here. This is going to be a big run of Maestro as well, right up on top of Jarvis. Sends him not flying, but at least slide into the side. Dude. And the hop-outs from XSET to correct that are unfortunately going to be far too late. They still need to send creators out there to get back case control, though.
Yo, this is a completely different playstyle, man. I can't take this. This is crazy. I feel like I'm casting LATAM right now. Oh my goodness gracious. SSG, you guys are all over the map, and they are feeling themselves, John. You do not do that unless you are just flying high on confidence. That was some amazing stuff there. They take down Jarvis, and let alone Jarvis, the only hard breach on all of XSET. Good luck trying to get into the site now. It's going to be very difficult overall, especially to try and break what's going on upstairs. I mean, look at this setup. It looks like they're going to try and make an adjustment here, and I completely agree with this. They're going to go and try and hold onto the stairwells here and go for more of a train offense into the fireplace hall, because trying to break into reading is going to be super difficult when you really can't deal with freezer or the things that are going on upstairs.
Fultz very much ready for the fireplace plays. He takes up position to immediately counter any swings that would come from that direction. That includes the opening that Thomas just made as well. So once again, no safe harbor for XSET to approach this site with, especially down a player in the 4v5 scenario right now. but they have to be the ones to dictate the play of pace here. They cannot just allow SSG to execute into their own strategy, but that's exactly what's happening right now. Nade from Thomas could be a difference maker if it rolls far enough. It's only going to do that tiny little smidge of damage against Hot and Cold, though, so not nearly enough for this situation. XSET are still stuck with the west control of the second floor, but cannot push it any further than that. A good frag grenade kill at least, and some trades to give them at least partial control as they venture towards the site, but still, head count working against them here finally as Filthy's left alone in the 1v3 scenario, trying to find a way to push forward, being smart about the pacing, but ultimately trying to push himself forward here. Oh wait, hold on. He's got the first kill, 2 more to go, and he can very much control the peaking pace of these last 2 players also, but he has to try and do it in the next 8 seconds. That's going to be the issue. He can't put the case down. He's locked in this room right now. Finally gets the peek from the white stairs, and it's only a bait to allow for the last SSG player to pick up the kill as they win out the round instead.
I mean, how do you try and approach 2 SAS members in a 1v2, especially in that close of quarters? You definitely can't do that. There's no way. The shotguns are going to rip you to pieces. Filthy tries so very hard, and try as he might, it doesn't matter at the end of the day. XSET can't find their first round after SSG, with an explosive defensive play, to say the least. They burst out of Bakery, toss the Nitro Cell up onto Plat, and blow Jarvis sky high. That's a Thermite God, and also a change up now for XSET in the hard to breach department. Speaking of the fact, it's going to be Ace now for Jarvis, and a 6 pick away from the Ying. Love this for Razor, and onto the Ash.
Razor's been one of the few bright lights here so far for XSET inside of this matchup when it comes to especially his early round fragging capability, the 3rd round defense in general against SSG there. He set up what should have been an easy closeout for the rest of the XSET roster. Unfortunately, that did not come to fruition for reasons we already discussed previously, but either way, definitely the highlight so far of this team, and I can agree with putting him back on the Ash for the obvious reasons of his current prominence for the team.
Well, the biggest thing is right now is if Razor does get you an advantage, you have to do something with it. That's been the problem for XSET so far, and it's continued to happen throughout these rounds. SSG are able to procure some opening frags, but even when XSET are capable or are able to get one up for themselves inside of a round, they still don't do anything. It's just like they got picked off instead when they get the initial kill. They sit on the timer and don't try and move forward. The biggest highlight of that being where they just simply sit on timer is when they ran into some problems with their kitchen offense, and they simply sat on the second floor and just like, well, I guess we go for white, and they just dropped freezer and died. Like, okay, well, there was really no thought put into that overall. Obviously, like, they're at a disadvantage, but it's just like, SSG isn't just going to rotate into you and give it away.
So considering that fact, we'll see how XSET deploy towards the early game yet again here. They're looking confident with a 4-round win streak. We're going to start to see them get probably a bit aggressive here, too, as they know they've got a pretty secure lead, so they can always call that back at any given time should they start losing rounds. But considering the lack of that so far here, we can see a couple of their players trying to be more out and about, at least in the opening seconds of the round. They quickly pull that back, though, and are going to the usual extended 3rd floor cocktail positions that we normally see teams holding against the 2nd floor site. Rampy, as well as the castle, currently played by Thinking, very much ready for the aggression that's coming soon from XSET.
I just love the layers that SSG provides here. We got all of the play going on over on the cocktail side, some great positioning for the anchors, and then we have Hot and Cold as well as Bosco with their own positioning here inside of Train. And this is beautiful because they're able to play this central room here and defend all of Christmas, constantly giving intel across this entire field up top and feeding it to Ramp and the others across, as well as some explosive utility being used to take down creators. That's going to be the Zofia gone, and that's going to mean a lot more than you would initially think because those concussions are no longer there. They don't have something to try and back it up, all except for possibly some stun grenades from Filthy, so these gunfights going ahead could be pretty problematic.
Thomas dodges the Nitro, a little bit more straightforward as it's thrown at him this time, so an easy dodge to make, but the second one a bit trickier. Rampy getting prepared to chuck one up and try to deal with this player on the inside of Freezer. No luck on that one either. In fact, Rampy going to take the large majority of the damage as a result of that fight. Nade from Thomas down the hatchet, downs Fultz, nearly kills Rampy also here, and as well, Fultz has gone down through the hatch once again into the 1st floor to keep himself alive. Houghton is holding the line in the meanwhile, but no, Razor in a great position here. Make sure that Thinking Nade can't get out of the freezer. On top of that, he's got another player locked in here too. That's going to be Fultz that no longer can escape this spot. Razor try to flesh him out into the open. Will he be able to win the fight, though? No! Fultz gets in instead. Rampy got another kill as well. So everything's down on Jarvis now in the 1v4. He's running into a whole setup here, and he doesn't even know it. Bosco with the easy closeout. Another round for SSG.
They're just outmanned and outgunned, brother. I don't know what else to say. Like, it's just so difficult for XSET to get anything done here. SSG are just simply one move ahead of them at all times. Even when XSET are able to get something, they just can't get anything done with it. I mean, some great positioning there by Razor to know what's going on in the basement, but he still ends up getting fragged out. And, you know, you can tell that they're really, really trying to push the envelope inside of those frags when the opportunity arises, because Razor is doing his damnedest to try and swing into Freezer and take down those two players, but he can't get it done. Just too much ammo inside of those mags for the Alda, and simply walks into the spray. The rest of XSET goes by the wayside, and it's all down to Jarvis in a clutch moment. And I mean, there's just too many SSG members around the map in areas that you have no idea where they are, and you have zero intel or zero help as well to try and gather it. So it's just an impossible task at that point.
All right, so coming down to the wire here for XSET. Obviously, the defensive side is the favored one for Cafe, but not to this extent. A 5-0 lead, even if it goes 5-1 at this point, going to be a rough comeback for XSET if they can mount it, but 6-0 really going to test the limits of what they can do for us on the defensive side, as they would have to repeat that same half in the exact same way, and unfortunately just not realistic to expect that to happen given the way the match has played out so far. But we won't count our chickens before they hatch. XSET still with the capability to round at least one round on this half for themselves. Let's see if they can get the job done.
A lot of interesting things going on here. I think we're going to have this on the kitchen site.
Yeah.
All right. So, going to be a top clear here. They're going to be hot and cold with an initial nitro cell, just waiting for the rappel sound. So whenever Tommy gets off of the rappel, that nitro cell is coming right out of that hatch. It's going to fly early, doesn't get the damage off that he was looking for. Tried to run it on the timer there and catch him right when his face peaked, but was not able to do it. But they've got some solid positioning all across this middle floor. This is what I was looking at. You can see this lone reinforcement, especially over towards dark, as well as the rotates that they made across with barricades in between for sound cues, as well as just LOS denial to make it a little bit safer for them to play. This SSG setup is really difficult to crack for XSET right now, and I don't believe that they've got the intel to try and go for it. Razor, he's gonna do what Ash does best. He crouch walks right down White and ends up taking down Hot and Cold.
Another player going to immediately take up that same position, however. In fact, two, both armed with shotties. Bosco pretty sure just got spotted by the drone hop down there, and we can see damage going on to him to counteract that, but still, Fultz gets aggressive apparently up that staircase, takes out Razor, and re-evens us back out into a 4v4 very quickly. Rampy also with a third floor position here. Could cause some serious problems. He hasn't even noticed yet. There's a player right beside. Oh my goodness, they walk right past each other. Rampy as well. Will he catch this player? No, the thermite goes underneath instead of out into the open by pillars. Jarvis doesn't even know it, walked right past a member of SSG seconds ago, and I don't know if they ever will notice it. Another one walks right past Rampy, and he can't even get the kill. What is going on, Rampy?
This is so unfortunate for Rampy. He's going to be able to at least maintain the top floor, and you can see what SSG's plan was with that reinforcement as well. They forced Jarvis to use his exothermic because they blocked the angle that XSET were looking for inside of Red Hall. So big brain plays coming out from SSG yet again here, forcing XSET to dwindle down their own utility to try and adopt angles for their execute. Now down into the last minute here in between these two. It's a 4v4 right now. Rampy still with some great positioning around White Stairs. We'll see if XSET has lost the plot on this roam. They no longer have the air jabs on Filthy like they once did, and there it is, folks. We're not worried about Rampy in the slightest. He walks down White. He'll take up Creators and XSET. Now worse for wear yet again. It's a 4 versus 3. This is the last opportunity to try and gather an offensive round, but it's looking more or less the same as the last kitchen defense. They're simply waiting over the kitchen hatch and trying to find a pick that SSG is just not trying to give them. It's going to be a double kill for Fultz now. Jarvis trying to find some way or think about some way in order to get down this hatch safely, but my friend, more than likely not going to happen. Filthy's going to go along with him. They'll drop right down in. The cross angle's already secured from Rampy. I don't believe Jarvis is going to make it out of the freezer. Can he do so? He goes for the door, but Rampy quick to the shot, able to take him down, and that's going to be the 6th round in a row for SSG.
Takes him a minute to finally activate, but Rampy coming in clutch there with that upstairs play, and didn't even make most of the action to happen upstairs. The play from that position actually was flubbed a little bit, but I think the uncertainty from that situation ended up helping out SSG more than it would have been if he had just gotten a kill and then gotten traded out a moment later. As like we said, their XSET not really paying mind to that in the late round. He's able to run right down White, pick up 1 for free, and then act as a massive obstacle for the final 2 players as well. So beautiful stuff from him, and a well-deserved 6-0 lead now for SSG going into the second half.
Yeah, I mean, what else can you possibly say about that half for SSG? It's just immaculate gameplay across the board. Just making plays across the entirety of the map and using everything to its fullest potential. There's nothing more that you can really say about that. As for XSET, they were just on the receiving end, man. It just seemed like they had the barrel of the gun pointed at them the entire time, and they simply just could not get away from it. Even when they were able to get their own frags. I hate to say it, but it seems like at some moments in time where they can try and progress forward, they just happen to play scared, and that's okay, especially up against a team like SSG. They've been very forceful, and they've been changing up the pace so much, you don't necessarily know what they're going to do, and SSG, especially on their defense, were doing a very good job of abusing the holes in XSET's overall intel game, especially with what we saw happen inside of Bakery. So an amazing half for SSG, lackluster for XSET. We're hoping to see things change up here on this defensive side, but it all starts now for XSET on this defense. They're going to be headed towards Reading as well as Fire for their initial one. So point a page out of SSG's book here.
So with SSG settled ahead at a 6-0 lead versus XSET, it's time to see if XSET can give us anything at all on that defensive half. For SSG, very much in control over the situation here. XSET obviously on the other half with a lot of opportunities to make their own impact, but they've got to bring a confident stride to it, in my opinion. And unfortunately, we just did not see that on the attacking side. Lots of players second-guessing themselves or just taking a very slow approach, allowing SSG to execute their own strategy. That will not work here on the defensive half for XSET. So time to see if they can truly dictate the pace and try to battle back this scoreline at all, or if SSG is truly going to run over this roster and give us another 7-0 victory here in this stage.
Well, what I can already tell you is this lineup that SSG is bringing is definitely better than the offensive lineup of XSET. They have a lot more intel on the likes of Rampy with the hologram that'll help them out a lot, as well as maintaining the air jabs for Bosco, so they're not going to have to worry so much about flank watch. Cafe has a lot of really good air jab spots around these staircases, so they can abuse that really well and make it difficult for XSET to really get anything done unless somebody possibly has an impact or they want to risk a nitro cell or something like that. But either way, you can see SSG are already making amazing progress so far. Bosco setting up another air jab here to prevent any rotation out of Freezer upstairs, and they're ready for this plant, or at least ready to start taking control of this middle floor. Let me rephrase that here for just a second. They will actually start working off of that top floor right down red and straight into train. They're simply going to hold this Christmas area, it seems like, and just prevent XSET from moving forward on that top floor.
To watch the final minute play out here. Got SSG still with a lot to build off of. The same nade we saw Thomas try to deploy in here from before. Now we're going to get sent out by Rampy. This time not to too much success, though, as it is going to roll off the corner there. They bank into an area where it's not going to be able to find any major damage against the XSET roster. What could be problematic, though, for XSET inside of Library is going to be that wall opening here. A full cross now presented to Rampy. There's the peek from Thomas, and a quick dispatch of him as well. Beautifully shot by Rampy. The trades can come in, as obviously XSET can fire back through this opening just as proficiently. Filthy gets himself one. Razor here supporting Jarvis on the white stairs position to stop SSG from dropping down as well. It's holding off the tide for now, but will it do so forever? That's the question, and the answer is going to be no. Foltz with another important kill here against Razor. Jarvis now out of utility. No more toxic babes to hold back the rest of SSG. Filthy, though, finding so many kills, but Bosco able to stop Jarvis, and now Filthy is the lone man on the field here. The Nitro as well as whiffed on that corner of wood paneling, and that's going to seal the deal, folks. Bosco shuts down the last kill. SSG take control 7-0 against XSET.
Flawless victory there for SSG. XSET's that's a pretty poor matchup overall. Cafe definitely was not the map to go to, I would say, is SSG run a full clinic on this map and show them every single hole inside of their defense and offensive game. And you can tell that from the scoreboard here. I mean, Creators 2-6, Thomas 1-6, and Jarvis 1-7. Difficult game there for XSET.
Definitely a difficult game, and unfortunately a bit of a step back from the performance we saw last week. But with SSG performing as prominently as they have been in the later half of this season and this stage overall here, ever since they picked up Hot and Cold, it's no surprise as they have looked red hot and dangerous as they get ready to venture forward, more than likely with a secured first place position for the stage at this point. I don't want to obviously put any bets on that just yet, but either way, with a very strong position for first place, they're looking very dangerous getting ready to head to the Mexico Major.
Yeah, it's going to be very, very close, but I believe, I might be wrong about this, but I believe that they're pretty much stuck inside of first. But either way, an amazing matchup for SSG today, and it's just absolutely incredible how much these guys have progressed throughout just this one stage. I want to remind you guys, Hot and Cold joined this team in stage 2 to fill Canadian shoes. Like, it's just such a whirlwind of stuff for SSG. I'm just so happy for those guys.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for myself and Stokes here today. We're going to send it back down to Veli and the rest of the analysis desk one final time to break down this match and how SSG was able to control 7-0.